Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing with the Fanhome Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Megazord, and we are now on part 21. So without further ado, it is building time. Okay, so I was saying in an earlier video how I was hoping that the Triceratops horns would have chains, and it looks like they do, which is a really exciting prospect. Well, hopefully this issue or this part we'll get to see how this is going to come together. Yeah, I'm really excited that they've got chains and that the Zord will have the firing horns, should we say, play feature. But anyway, let's put that to one side for now. Let's get the screws open, and we will then start taking a look at how this part is going to come together. And then we have these ones. Then let's get our instructions. Let's put those in. So the very first thing to do is the horns and the chains themselves. Right, so it's stating we're going to put the chains around the lower pins and that it wants a drop of glue up here to hold it all together. We'll see how it looks, but I might end up putting a drop of glue on these three as well, just to stop it from coming apart. But initially it wants us to start with the left horn. So that's left 2. That's right 2, right 1, left 1, and while I'm at it, let's grab the glue, and we need our first chain. So it wants us to take the largest ring on one of the over the lower post of the left horn, so here, no, sorry, once it's going over, this one, you don't want to mix that up because the chain will go over this, while this one will then plug it into there. So chains connected. Let's get our super glue and very carefully apply a couple of drops along this to ensure everything fits together nicely. Actually, what I'm going to do first is just make sure this. Yep, so that's going to plug in like so. Yep. And then this will plug in over the top. It's a tight fit. Come on. There it is. There we go. There we go. It's a tight fit, so you just want to make sure it's pushed together as well as possible. And then that one can go to one side while we do the next horn. Again, we need our chain. And again, we want this one. And again, I'm just going to put some drops of glue into place just to make sure this all stays nice and firm. Drop that. Grab our other side of the horn. Position everything so they line up. And then press this as firmly together as possible. There we go. So that's our two horns done. Put the lid back on the glue. That can go to one side. Then we need to bring in our headpiece from previous issues. And from the inside, the left side of the head of the Triceratops. Well, that reads terribly. Position the left chain box to secure it. So what the chain box is, oh, it's going to be these bits. Okay, so we want the left chain box denoted with an L, and this will go. Once again, the instructions aren't overly clear, and it's because they are small and okay. So I need to position it okay, so we need one of the PP screws, which is fine. But let's try and get this. That's fine. I think that's going to go what's the right side? So it's definitely the left side. Right, well, the instructions for this are absolutely awful. I really cannot figure out how this sits. Okay. So it definitely appears to be think I figured it out. Okay, so move the wire up out of the way. Then this comes and sits in like this. Yes, that's how it's doing it. That's how it's sitting in. Right, yep. So it lines up with this and this hole here. Well, it's not clear at all because the picture shows this coming in at an angle. It doesn't show where it positions. And the blue on blue on blue pictures really don't clarify. What doesn't help is the wire wants to get snagged. So it's a case of gently finagling that out of the way. Lining this up as best as possible, and then somehow screwing it all into place at the same time. Right, let's bring in my screwdriver. Okay. So this is a very, very awkward piece to get fitted. You can see there's not really any room for screwing this into place. And you're trying to hold it up. That appears to be it. Then we are going to repeat the process with the right side. So again, I'm going to gently finagle this wire out of the way. What's that? Bring in the right one. Line that up in the same way and somehow hold it in place while I get the screws. There you go. That's it. There it is. There it is. That's those two in, and then the wires can come back around and under. Yep. All right. Then we need to take the horn supports, which appears to be this piece. Yes. And this will come in and sit there, like so. I don't believe it's going to. No, it definitely won't go that way. Oh, you can't see. So this comes in and it situates that way of the crescent facing to the back of the head. There we go. Yeah, just need to line it up so it sits on it. You know when it's right because it won't move around so much. Then again, 2 PB screws. Just screw those into place again. One, two. There we go. Perfect. And that will also help keep the head together. All the time it was on just one, you could see it pulling, and you can see here how it's actually warped the plastic. It's fine, it's holding firm, but be careful because all the time this isn't connected. The head is literally held by one screw and it's just flaying outwards. So of course it's pulling on the plastic. Right. Next, we take the left horn assembly. That'll be the right one, won't it? Because we did the right second. So this will be the left one. And take the left horn assembly and secure the small ring of the chain to the left hand post of the horn supports. So I think again, it's not no clear instructions at all, but I believe these screws are to go into these 2 ports here using these PWB screws. So I think the easiest thing is going to be to put the chain on the screw, then bring the screw down and gently screw this into position. The only thing to be careful of is, well, that is awful. The chain's literally just come off the ring already. So that's going to need fixing. And where did the chain piece go? Oh, there it is. Right. Okay, let's get a pair of tweezers. It's going to be easier with tweezers. Right. Okay. So sorry, no, I've brought this off camera. It's the only way I can see at the moment. Right, yep. Okay. So I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but there is a small break in the chain, obviously, where they've connected everything. And when it's got screwed in, it bent it out of shape a little, so I think I'm going to have to do this off camera. I will be back in a bit. Okay, that was a pain and a half to fix. So what I've done is I had to, where the ring had come off, the hole to fix them back together was still too small. So what I did was I took the tweezers, I fed them through, widened the gap on the ring to begin with, then fitted the chain back on, placed the screw through it, and then used a pair of pliers just to very gently squeeze the ring shut. So you can see the ring here is now a little deformed, but it's now holding in place. What I might need to do is unscrew this slightly just to there. Yeah, I think that's better. I have concerns over how that's going to work over time, if it's going to become loose and fall away, but as far as I can tell, oh, shoot. I've put the left chain on the right side. I was facing the head round the wrong way. Oh, after all that, and I still got it around the wrong way. Good thing I figured that out before. So you can see how that's now become deformed, but it's now a tighter fit for the chain, or it should be. So hopefully it won't come flailing loose over time or anything. So again, I'm just going to fit the ring over the screw and then screw this into place. What I'm going to try and do is have that facing behind this. And it's broken again, for God's sakes. Okay. I'm going to go try and fix this again. I'll be back. There we go. Got there in the end. You definitely need to make sure that you don't mix up the horns. They do fit only one way. And obviously, as I said, be careful with the ring. It does like to come off, which is awkward. The instructions don't show to fit the horn just yet, rather allowing to fit the other one, but I wanted to make sure that was correct before I proceed, because this needs to go on as well. Right, so the left horn is done. We can now proceed with the right horn. Again, all of the screws. Take our chain. Round. Very carefully. Let's try not to break this one. is that. There we go. So that is our two horns now fitted correctly, and then we bring in the cover, and this will then we want one of these PB screws. And these go over this horn supports. Need to make sure the chains are out of the way. It is once again unclear which way around this is going, but I think it's this way. Well, that go in. Right, so right. As far as I can tell, it should be this indentation facing towards the top, but it certainly doesn't want to rest on it properly, so chains can get in the way of this bit, so it's a little awkward. Yes, that's the only way it'll go in. Get in the way. Right, let's go in this side. Okay, for some reason it is not fitting on one side. Almost like it's too big. Okay, I'm going to fiddle with this again off camera and I'll be back. Okay, so this does fit in the way I've shown here. I haven't screwed it yet, and I will do that in a second. It is an incredibly tight fit. In fact, what I had to do in the end was unscrew this one and very gently sort of almost prise, just to give a millimetre gap for that to slide down, otherwise it just won't go in. Take our PB screw and screw this into place. That. But yes, it's worth bearing in mind that that is an incredibly tight fit. There we go. And you may want to unscrew this part just to give you the wiggle room to connect it properly. But as you can see, everything's now lined up nice and neatly. And then we can now finish the assembly by placing the two horns into their sockets. So the horns here, as you can see, have a crescent shape, which obviously matches with that, and then there's an extra gap which allows for the chain, and then it literally just comes and sits down. There's a nice tight fit with them. Bring the chain down. Down. And again, that should fit nice and snugly. Can't get this lined up. Okay, this one doesn't want to fit quite as snugly as the other one. So why is that? There it is. There we go. As you can see, those are now got a nice snug fit to them. And that brings us to the closure of part 21. The Triceratops head is definitely coming together very nicely. There's some really nice detailing on this. Everything is fitting together quite well. Obviously being careful with the chains when fitting them. The little rings obviously do like to snap off. That's not that unexpected. You know, if you have a necklace or anything like that which uses chains and those little metal rings like that, it's not an uncommon sight to see the ring become warped and the two halves come apart wide enough. They only have to come apart with, you know, fractions of a millimeter, and the other parts of the chain just come sliding right off. It is what it is. I'm not blaming Fanhome for that. I think adding the chains is a fantastic touch. It's just par of the course with having chains like that. So just be careful when fitting them. Hopefully now that everything's screwed in tightly, as long as you're not yanking the chains about and things, they'll be fine. But yeah, there we have it. I think what's next? Let's have a look. See. Next is going to be the back of the head, and the part after that will be the batteries and LEDs. So I think we're going to leave this one here, but the next video I might do 2 bits in, just to fit and be able to test the lights. Certainly what I want to do before the crest comes on is test those lights, see what the bleed is going to look like, if there is any bleed. Touch wood, there isn't going to be any bleed with all of the wet boxes for the eyes. I'm hoping that any potential bleed is minimal to the point that it's just not going to leak through, but I do want to double check all of that before this all fully assembles and finalizes. So as always, we can close this out with a look at our next episode in Power Rangers history. Just move this out the way and bring in our book, This Week in Power Rangers. There we go. And then here we go. Episode 21, Green with Evil Part 5, Breaking the Spell. Save Tommy. We get a bio on our Putty Patrol. I actually refer to as Putty Patrol men here. I've never seen them called as Patrol men, but yep. So they're obviously our generic monsters used in Power Rangers. As always, we get our episode summary. This is being the final episode of the Green with Evil arc, with Tommy finally being cured and teaming up with the Rangers. We get our episode summary, as I said, and we get some nice stills of the episode throughout, including Jason and Tommy facing off, as well as our Megazord and T-Rex. And the curious fact for this week we are going with is the episode is a true tribute to the Japanese subgenre. You can tell it's late. Subgenre, where giant monsters like Godzilla and Gamera star in titanic battles. So there we have it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay safe. Until next time, may the power protect you.